Hello everybody, it's me, Get Davedio, and channel update time, year in review edition. Gonna wrap up Final Fantasy IX, and then it's a pretty open list, to be honest. We can check getdave.com for the current iteration of the list. It's from like really late 2017. Some retro view stuff, Homeworld Deserts of Carrick, maybe that would be good. I'm sorry to the 4X crowd, we didn't, aside from Endless Space 2, we didn't have like a lot of strategy gaming in 2017. I'm trying, okay? But the games just aren't coming. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people feel like I'm being hard on it. Like when I gave Endless Space 2 a bad review, or even, yeah, a slightly bad review. And by the way, it's getting murdered on Steam reviews too. They're just not there. And even if I may point to the problem, a really nice person sent me a message on the website saying, you should check it out. Someone's remaking Master of Orion and adding like just modern UI conventions and making it not run in DOS. And this is 25 years after Master of Orion came out, and it looks the same. Super the same. Now, I don't exactly have a problem with this. This is actually, I think, kind of a noble goal, just to breathe some life into the original. They're playing it super conservative, even to the point that like the aliens are Alkari and Mercians. And the UI color scheme is even the same with their sort of like earth tones and everything. So they're playing it super close, which I'm actually okay with. I really like when they do restore old games. And I like it in other medium too, like Criterion Collection films, for example. I really like when they dig up an old film and try really refining its quality and making it look really good and preserving that which was good of the past. But I would argue this is basically symbolic of what's going on in 4X right now, where there hasn't been a new idea in 25 years. And I think of something like first-person shooters are actually, I would argue, going into a little bit of a renaissance after being stuck on the same ideas for about 20 years. From like GoldenEye 007 for the N64 until Halo and Gears of War are the only games that had any innovations in the next 20 years, I'd argue. There wasn't really any other new ideas, I don't think. There was like, they borrowed a couple RPG mechanics, but that was nothing. And now it's like, hey, Overwatch and hero shooters and Doom came back and taught people like how to pick up the pace again after Gears of War slowed everything down, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, like introducing like an actually interesting twist on the game mode. And it's great. It's innovating like crazy right now, and that's a great thing. Still waiting for that to hit in 4X, because everybody is still chasing Master of Orion, and this is okay because they're just trying to like restore an old painting, so to speak. But everybody else, I mean, you can push it further than you are, please. That said, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, I'm just waiting for it to go on a bigger sale. It might have something to offer, and Homeworld is kind of doing its own thing, so yeah, maybe I'll take a look at Deserts of Carrick. I'm starting to convince myself on that. We'll see. I missed the Steam Winter Sale on it. Anyway, I have not forgotten you strategy gamer fans. But on the other side, if you have any requests, put them in the comments section for what you want the next LP to be, because I have an unusually open mind, and the next game I'm really interested in doing, or in playing, is Dragon Quest XI, and that doesn't come out for a while. And I don't even know if I'm gonna like totally let's play that. I might even just do that one personally. I don't know. So we'll see. Now's a good time to give input, because Final Fantasy IX is probably halfway done or so. Moving on, we're gonna have some real talk, and this is gonna be like a little bit of a change up for the channel, and so let's just get right to it. I need to rethink some of the Patreon goal stuff I've been doing, because basically I can't handle the workload right now, because I already have a lot of commitments, as you might expect. In December, I spent 120 hours working on Let's Play channel stuff that wasn't Let's Plays, which is nuts! And that's killing me, because that's on top of everything else that I would normally be on there. It takes a long time to make the review videos, and like I like the discussion around them and everything, but the sheer amount of work, it's almost the same as doing an entire Let's Play, just because, and even that's with like tagging footage, but like writing it and rewriting it and then recording it, and I've tried a couple different change-ups, and I just can't make them quickly. And I guess that's why most reviews are like 4 minutes on IGN or whatever. But, you know, the sort of stuff I want to make, it's like a little too much of a workload. In DAO, I enjoy doing those as well, but that's like pretty burdensome as well. So and between the two of those, I actually made a critical mistake that I didn't mean to, which is like a thing I'm critical of some Kickstarters is they'll be like, okay, we need $100,000 to finish this game, but if we do $125,000, we'll do an art book as well, and if we get 150,000, and they keep adding things where it's like they're adding $25,000 of work for when they get $25,000 of money. So it's like all it's doing is pushing out timelines and increasing like burden and decreasing focus, and it's not helping fund the original project any further than that. So despite the fact that they're like raising more money, it's not going into like the game. That sort of problem happens a lot, but it kind of happened with me. So what I want to do is I want to pivot a little bit and instead do like one special thing a month, and could be still a review if there's a game where I really feel like I have something I want to say. Because like for Knights of the Old Republic, I started writing the review, but I kind of feel like the Let's Play said it all, and the game's 15 years old, and I don't know, it's good, it's fine. You know, might do Indao still, but I would just have one special one a month. Could do a stream. I've been thinking about like maybe putting some actual effort into the Twitch channel, and so we could do something a bit more interactive and have like a big stream one evening. Could do like a little series with Mrs. Get Daved or something. She like didn't want to commit to like any timeline stuff because I know people enjoy the 12 Days of Christmas episodes with her, but like she's not a night owl at all, so it's hard to get like more than 2 episodes recorded at once with her, which is slightly less than I do. Anyway, yeah, I was thinking about switching it up to be something like the special event of the month, and we'd sort of have it rotating and sort of see what people are interested in and all that. And that would also allow us to have like, I don't know, split focus. And the reason I'm saying that is the stream, it could be more interactive and more fun, and it'd be more content in terms of output, and it would take less input time on my end. So it's a thought, but I need to find a way to dial back a little bit, because even like with the Breath of the Wild, I was doing a couple extra things, and it's just too much, and it's pulling away from like the energy I have, because you can't have too many creative outputs or else you start getting creatively emptied because you're outputting all the time. And so I felt that it was starting to affect things like my energy level for other Let's Plays, and I'm already working on a video game that's really important to me, and I want to actually get that done. And yeah, so we're gonna have to do a change up. Let me know what you think. Sorry if that's super disappointing, everyone. And like, if that's off base with you, you know, voice your opinion or whatever. I'm just trying to have an open and honest communication with where I'm at. Next up, video game stuff. It's the year in review, so I feel like I should show you guys a little bit more. So I mentioned in the last couple months I've been redoing Reina's Mesh, and I don't know, I thought I'd like show you a little bit under the hood of how my UI stuff has been working as well. So let's see what we got here. All right, so this is like a debug version. And this is something like I had in the game, and it was based on like really early work I'd done. This sort of like distortion here, don't worry about that. That's actually something else and doesn't make its way into the end product. But I was starting to learn about like anatomy and facial proportions and stuff, and was starting to get frustrated with it. And I always had plans to redo it, as I've mentioned in another one. So, and like now when I look at this, like the depth between like her ocular cavity and like the nose bone and like that curvature of that, like it's all wrong. It's like more like a fox. So that's like, it's actually super embarrassing for me now. So I got inspired about a month ago and started redoing it. So this is what she's looking like now. I have her just like in a pseudo pose, but like her facial anatomy is like a lot stronger. The things are proper, like curvature under the eye and blending into the cheekbone and stuff. More interesting hairstyle. This mesh is in the process of getting optimized. This is actually like before pre-optimization, and then there's a couple things I'm still fiddling around with. So it'll still change a little bit. Like I even just added a little bit of loose hair, and I'm still playing around with that sort of stuff. But anyway, that's what she's looking like right now. And yeah, this was not even the file that I'm actually working on right now, but I'm just simplifying things. Basically, each one of these is like a separate component, and they need to in some ways be made one. to be optimized for the game. So a little behind the scenes stuff. But anyway, I think this is a lot stronger. Again, there's like some sort of artifacting, like a little, you can see like a little line there, a little normal plane there. That's not something that's going to figure in once the mesh gets triangulated. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. But anyway, so that's what she's looking like now. I think it's much more human. Originally, like, I had a more cartoony style planned for the game, and it still retains like some aspects of it, particularly once like the game engine's lighting system starts getting applied. It gives it a bit more of a cartoony vibe, but I still move things a little bit closer to reality, and I think a great benefit. So anyway, that's our girl Reina. This is some UI stuff. The background image is just something I wanted to put in place. This is a drawing by Orioto, O-R-I-O-T-O. He's a artist from France who does some really cool stuff. It's all video game based. This is like a Castlevania Symphony of the Night inspired piece he did. But anyway, because I'm also making a Metroidvania game, I thought, I'll make that the background because I want to see how stuff looks overlaid on something. And when I started doing this, I didn't have an idea. Anyway, this is like the original UI I put in place for just showing like information. Even like energy, I didn't even have like an idea, but it's like there might be some sort of stamina based resource or something. And I just wanted to show like this still seemed very uninspired and generic. Like there's a certain cleanness to it, but so much in everything basically is about simplification, and UI is no different. So it's like, how much can you reduce it? So I started experimenting with like, okay, well, let's not use the whole strip. Came up with the idea of like some sort of ring selector for like secondary items you could have. So like in Super Metroid, you know, Samus by default shoots her beam weapons, but you know, you got your missiles and your super missiles and so on. So you grapple beam. So I had this as like a selector for secondary stuff. Eventually I would apply the simplification philosophy to the control scheme later on, so we'll get there. And just seeing, okay, can I reduce it more? Can I, well, actually work, so this is actually a reduction because on even a 4:3 ratio monitor, but most monitors are 16:9 aspect ratio now, you have more horizontal space. So the difference here is, okay, we actually have less space on this axis, so can I just reorient it to use more of the space where we have an abundance of it? It appears the only difference here is I changed the color of one of the selected item thing. Although I don't mind that's a nice triadic color scheme. Anyway, and this is where I'm at now because, and I could see if some people like this better. There's nice things about it, but it's in the way more, and this is easier to tune out. Actually, and I even had an idea for like if you'd only use some like stamina or whatever, then this ring UI could like collapse into something even simpler and would only show like your secondary item selected. But I got away with secondary item selection entirely when I was refining the control scheme, and I talk about this lots, but because I've been mentioning it over and over, and mostly on paper I've been like trying to come up with ways. And then when I come up with a good one, I've been implementing it, but come up with ways of simplifying the control scheme. Because I think of like Mega Man X as sort of being an ideal where there's a huge amount of variability in how well someone can play the game and how good your execution can be. And Mega Man basically can move left and right. He can jump, he can shoot, and he can dash. I mean, technically you can go up and down ladders, but that's really, really secondary stuff. So really, left and right, and then 3 buttons. And I guess pause. And you can use L and R to like select your secondary weapons a bit more effectively, but you can do that from the pause menu as well. And you can beat the game just with, 98% of the time being on those 5 buttons, which is amazing. And someone can pick up and start playing the game really quickly, but there's an insane amount of depth, meaning there's a really high upper limit for how high your skill level can take you. And that's with a really simple control scheme. And I would argue a very similar case exists for a game like Mario 64 or Super Mario Sunshine, take your pick. But a 3D Mario game where you have your jump, your attack, and your usually it's like a crouch modifier, and that gets you like your flip jump and your long jump and so on, your ground pound. So, and just the different context creates different uses, and it's all very intuitive. So again, that's basically 3 buttons for Mario 64, you know, your punch, your jump, and your squat, and then your directions. And the reason I bring those games up is Final Fantasy 15 is a 3D game, and I would argue they use every button on the controller, every single one basically, and there's multi-stages for every button. So like pressing a button and holding a button are very different. And so like even how you press a button can change something. But I feel like the player feels like they can play a lot more in Mario 64. Like there's more influence you have over what you can do, whereas FF15 felt very scripted. Like you can attack or dodge is basically what it is. You can't really jump. You can't like bounce around the environment, but Mario can. So we have a much simpler, much more potent, much more expressive control scheme. Anyway, I've been pushing super hard to try getting in that direction. And one of the things that happened was just abolishing the need for a selector. So there's this like thing where you can cycle through your secondary items. It's gone now because we don't need it now. And this is actually all the information. And then I started trying to push it any further. Like, okay, this reduces legibility by not having a little semi-transparent backdrop there. There is a really faint one at 15%. And I was floating with getting rid of it entirely. And can I get away with that? And do I even need to show like the names, right? An enemy can like these colors just imply. This kind of screws over red, green, colorblind people, but you know, that can be fiddled with. Anyway, that's a little bit of stuff under the hood. Hope that was interesting. That's what I've been up to. Let me know what you think on this one, people. I desire your feedback. And thank you for watching. If you want to keep supporting the channel, if you want to pull support for the channel, you can dislike this video and drop me on Patreon. I wanted my review. I would more appreciate your feedback, and if you like the creative pushes I'm trying to do with this channel, you can just watch the videos or you can support on Patreon, and I'll see you all in the next Let's Play, and let me know what you think.